Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Shadoe Davis Show. This is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025, and there's a few things I want to mention. So, first of all, to my all-access Nighthawks who are watching on the website and or Telegram this evening, we are on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble for the first half of the show, and then I have a special treat for all of us in the extension tonight. We're watching a movie, and it's not one of these traditional Christmas movies that people watch every year, like Christmas Vacation or whatever. What's that one with Macaulay Culkin? Home Alone. It's not that. Die Hard. Not a traditional Christmas movie. Tonight, we actually go into a, I guess you'd call it one of those biopics, kinda. And we're going back almost 200 years for this one. Yeah, it's going to be good. The reason that I wanted to come on, well, there's several reasons I wanted to come on tonight on all of the social media is because of one of the stories we have tonight. And I want you guys to understand how serious this could be in the new year when the Liberals do this. We've already got Bill C-2, Bill C-8, and Bill C-9. These are hardcore censorship bills they're going to try and hit us with. Now, the Conservatives are fighting back as hard as they can in committee. Obviously, they're going to fight back as hard as they can in the House, but it doesn't look like it's going to do any good. The Liberal, unless we can get special interest groups to pipe up and say, you guys are making a huge totalitarian, authoritarian mistake here, we ask you to reconsider and gut this bill completely. The Liberals have tried 2, 3, this will be their fourth attempt to pass this kind of a bill. And we're going to get into this in just a couple of minutes. Also, there is somebody who is suffering with a horrible medical condition. Mark Friesen, our friend. Warrior, patriot. I learned so much from this guy over the years. I mean, this guy was preaching the UN agenda 20, 25 years ago to 6 people. He'd go and he'd do a talk and there'd be 6 people there. And 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I saw him come through Winnipeg. He was on a tour with Laura Lynn. And he had rooms of 400 and 500. People were interested. They were standing up. They were taking notice. He was the first one who explained to me the UN SDGs, ESG, DEI, all of that stuff. And then it was easier, much easier for me anyway, to put the puzzle together to where we're at now. Mark is suffering from frontal lobe dementia, and he and Jan, his wife, are having a terrible time making ends meet. So I put up their Give, Send, Go on my Facebook, and hopefully, and I understand money is tight, you guys. I get it. It's Christmas. And even if it's not Christmas, money is still tight. I mean, what Carney has done to the economy, it's outrageous. But if you can find $10, you know, I mean, if 1,000 people give $10, that goes a very long way. And these guys are really hurting. And I can guarantee you that if they were able, they would still be fighting the fight with us. But right now, they're not. And it's on us to help. So I'm going to share that Give, Send, Go in a little bit. What's the other reason? Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say, I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Keep your eye on the ball. Keep your eyes wide open. Because this is the time of year when we're all distracted. They're going to try and do stuff. They can't pass laws, but they can try and push things through committees, and the bureaucrats are still working behind the scenes, right? So they can try and get paperwork done, get things passed, sign agreements with the UN and other countries to get things past the goalie while we're celebrating. So yeah, absolutely. Celebrate Christmas. Celebrate as much as you can, but also one eye on the ball and one eye on the booze. Okay, let's get down to it here. Starting with this one. Oops, not this one. This one here. The Canadian press. Left-wing corporate media at its absolute worst. This is where CBC, CTV, Global, City News, and a lot of smaller publications around the country will get their filler news from. They haven't got enough reporters to cover something. They use a story from the CP. Pierre Poilievre has called them out many times in press conferences. So anyway, the senior editors at the Canadian Press have decided that Mark Carney is their newsmaker of the year. Why? Why? He hasn't done anything yet. And by not doing something, he's done something. So why would these guys, this is where you're going to hear the mindset of the left-wing corporate media, right here. Kathy McCann from AM 800 CKLW in Windsor says, his rise from global economic expert to prime minister and watching his plan for the country has been fascinating. Kathy, I would suggest to you that you read his book. Who's this here? James Armstrong from Global News says, arguably a political outsider who reversed a 20-point liberal deficit to secure a large minority from the clutches of seemingly assured defeat. You know, the liberals could have put a monkey, quite literally, in as leader after Trudeau left, and they probably would have won. This is no jab at Pierre Poilievre, you guys. It's just that people hated Justin Trudeau so much. They were so tired of his virtue signaling and his emoting and his righteous attitude, even as he went and just did the stupidest thing time and time and time and time and time again. He's a hypocrite. He's a trust fund baby. And Canadians were absolutely tired of him. So like I said, they got to put a pig in there with a red jacket on and an L on the front, and the Liberals probably would have gotten a minority. So I don't think that Mark Carney, and besides, not a political outsider. He's been advising the Liberal Party financially for at least 3 years. He knows everybody. Don't say he's a political outsider. That's absolute BS rhetoric. Steve Murphy from CTV. Mark Carney dramatically reversed the fortunes of the Liberal Party, which was facing near certain defeat under Justin Trudeau. It's like, oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. These are the minds of the left-wing corporate media. Completely reshaped the face of the LPC in just a few months. Turned certain electoral defeat into an almost majority. Managed to end Danielle Smith versus Ottawa rift with MOU. No, that's very much still a rift. Nothing has been done. The only thing that has been done is an MOU has been signed. That's it. And David Eby and all of the First Nations are still standing in the way of that. And Carney has said, hey, look, if we can't get BC to buy in, if we can't get the First Nations chiefs to buy in, then this is a no-go. He said it. So how is... These people are propaganda artists. Hard to imagine Canadian political drama could... political drama could draw near as much attention as the U.S. What? Yet Carney somehow became a household name in mere months and has continued to alter the landscape from Jennifer Chamberlain of Rogers. Oh my God. Lick his ass much? A year ago, most Canadians probably didn't even know his name. He was the governor of the Bank of Canada for what, 6 or 7 years? Yeah, we know his name. Now, Mark Carney is the prime minister leading the country through a particularly tumultuous time. Mackenzie Ladd from the Globe and Mail. The clear choice, taking over the Liberal Party amid terrible polling, winning a snap election, quickly shaking things up within his own caucus. All the same faces! And already getting into some disputes with provincial leaders from Greg Bowman, City News, Vancouver. So that's the mindset. And we're talking about, guys, we're talking about senior editors of the Canadian Press. These are the people who manage the editors. The editors manage the writers. So they're a couple of levels up from the average reporter on the street. They call the shots. And if that's their attitude, you can expect more of the same as we head into 2026. In the meantime, Mark Carney made a post regarding methane emissions in Canada. And here it is. Methane emissions are responsible for about 30% of the global rise in temperature to date. Canada's new government is taking action to reduce those emissions, to cut pollution, fight climate change, and protect Canadians. All right, so that's a post from Mark Carney, December the 20th on X. Now, this guy up here, Chris Martz, he is an actual meteorologist here. You can see in his bio, meteorologist, science policy analyst, politically incorrect, lukewarmer, the anti-Greta Thunberg. So what does he say? Well, that number is mostly made up. An actual climate scientist. We don't actually know how much of the warming is attributable to methane because that figure is derived from computer models which are fudged to agree with temperature observations via arbitrary parameter adjustments. Either way, Canada's CH4 emissions only account for 1.2% of the global total. In other words, Canada could disappear off the map today and it would have negligible effect on the climate system. This action is just a power grab that'll continue raising the cost of living. And of course, the classic ratio underneath. Now, this is the one, guys, that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. Andrew Lawton is a Conservative MP from London, Ontario, and he says he's been fighting C8 and C9 in committee for the past couple of months now and doing a pretty good job of it. He says C9 was just the tip of the iceberg. This is our Justice Minister, Sean Fraser. And we have a headline from the Hill Times. Ottawa set to revive online harms legislation in 2026 from a government source who did not want to be identified. So we go to the Hill Times here. This is a paywall, so I can't get in, but I can give you at least the first paragraph. And this is really all we need. Justice Minister Sean Fraser had previously suggested the government wouldn't copy and paste Bill C-63, the former Bill C-63 that died on the order paper when the election was called last year. It's formerly known as the Online Harms Act. So it's going to come back with a different bill number and a different name, but we'll know it the second we see it. But child protection advocates remained hopeful the Liberals would bring forward a new online safety law. Interesting. So child safety advocates, those kids, this is the whole reason for this bill, the Liberals say. The kids that are in danger online need the government's protection. What about their parents? And if their parents aren't there, the parents could leave them with a message, and here it is. If somebody is bullying you online, then log out. It's that simple. You don't need to worry about it anymore. Here's constitutional lawyer Joanna Barron when C-63 was still a going concern about a year and a half ago in committee on Parliament Hill.
Thank you for the opportunity to present before this committee. I represent the Canadian Constitution Foundation, which is a national legal charity that defends fundamental freedoms, and we view this bill, C-63, as posing a grave threat to all Canadians' right to free speech and a flourishing democracy. We welcome the minister's announcement that he intends to split the bill, parts 1 and 4 of the bill, but we remain concerned about the constitutionality of aspects of part 1 as well as parts 2 and 3 in their entirety. First, I'll address portions of the bill that expand sanctions for offenses related to hate speech, including harmful content and content that foments hatred. I am referring both to the mandate on the new Digital Safety Commissioner, which is created in Part 1 of the bill, as well as the expanded penalties for hate crimes in Part 2. Part 1 of the bill imposes obligations on an operator to implement measures that are adequate to mitigate the risk that users will be exposed to harmful content. This includes content that foments hatred. This office will cost around $200 million over 5 years and impose fines up to the millions of dollars on platforms. Part 2 of the bill, meanwhile, increases penalties for existing hate crimes, including promoting genocide, now punishable up to life. It also creates a new standalone offense for any federal offense motivated by hatred, Section 320, which is also now punishable up to life. Now, as the previous witness mentioned, and I agree with many of his comments, this is an inherently subjective concept, hate speech. These expanded penalties and regulatory obligations pose a risk of gross proportionality and excessive chill of protected expression. In Whatcott, the Supreme Court of Canada said that hatred encompasses only the most extreme manifestations captured by the words detestation and vilification. Only that type of speech can be penalized without violating the Charter. C63 adopts this language in section 319.7. Hatred means the emotion that involves detestation or vilification. But detestation is really just a synonym for hate, and vilification is a highly subjective concept. We are in a present moment of passionate and often fraught disagreement in our society, where a lot of claims are made that are understood differently depending on context. For example, calling someone a Zionist presently may land as vilification, or more dubiously, promotion of genocide, or as praise, depending on the speaker and the audience. Just a few days ago, a former CBC producer, Shanaz Karmali, accused MP Kevin Wong of hateful expression for posing with an individual wearing an F Hamas sweatshirt on social media. That's the problem with criminalizing language. It's subjective. It shifts depending on context. And these concerns become pressing with the expanded sanctions proposed in Part 2. Even if our judges can be relied upon to respect principles of proportionality when sentencing an offender, under 320, for example, the range of available sentences in the law will now include life imprisonment. So it's not a frivolous possibility that prosecutors can refer judges to a range of sentencing up to life imprisonment for a crime such as vandalism, if it is alleged that the crime was motivated by hate. So the reality is that it's virtually impossible to identify in advance predictably a line that separates the merely awful but lawful from criminal hate speech. And this lack of clarity poses an urgent threat to online discourse, which is our current town square, and should brook this type of passionate adversarial disagreement. When these types of sanctions are in play, everyone has an incentive to err on the side of caution. Platforms will flag and remove content that is actually protected expression, and individuals will self-censor. Finally, I will briefly address Part 3 of the bill, which brings back a civil remedy for online hate speech, which allows members of the public to bring complaints for the Canadian Human Rights Commission. This would be disastrous, and you should not go forward with this proposal. Even if most alleged instances are dismissed for not meeting the threshold of hate speech, the penalties for individuals found liable, up to $50,000 paid to the government plus $20,000 to the victim, are severe enough that we can infer the new regime will lead to large amounts of soft pedaling of expression for fear of skirting the line. It will interfere severely with press freedom to publish controversial opinions, which are necessary to a flourishing civil society. And finally, process is punishment, even if the case does not proceed.
Right, so you know what they're going to do. 2 years ago, when I started the shadowdavis.com website, C63 was a threat to people like me, to independent, right-leaning, common sense-minded creators like me. And I'm sure you guys follow many of us on the different platforms. Well, just think about David Creighton being deplatformed because he said something that was hateful in the eyes of the government censor board, or the same with Sean Newman, or the same with What's Up Canada, Wayne Peters. Any of them, any of us, or all of us could be going. And so when I started that website, that was to safeguard the show. Now, C63 petered out on his own last year, but they're bringing it back, and they're gonna bring it back harder and tougher, and they're determined to pass this thing unless something upends them somehow, like they have to call an election. Which you never know. You just never know. So if you want to keep watching the show, and I've seen a few comments already in the social media, good to have you back on Facebook, Shadow. This is a one-off thing. I'm going to come back and do this every now and again on YouTube and Facebook and X, and maybe we'll hold some X spaces as well from time to time. But the content is on Telegram, the Shadow at Night community, every single weeknight at 8 o'clock Central. And, of course, on the website, become an all-access member at shadowdavis.com. The show still exists there. People are saying, where'd you go? Still doing the show. You just got to come and be an all-access member to find it. Now, you know, speaking of content, hate speech, you know what they've been doing in the UK. They have been arresting people for what they've said online. They've done it in England. They're doing it in the EU, all over the EU. As a matter of fact, there are tens of thousands of cases of arrests of people for posting online, something that is considered hateful by the UK government. Here's a clip of Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan talking about just that. And Piers Morgan backpedaling. He's scared to say a word that Tucker challenges him to say. Watch this.
Texts and describes the man who beat her up, sent her to the hospital, as a quote, she's arrested and convicted of a hate crime. The guy who beat her up is not arrested or convicted. By the way, you're allowed to be homophobic if you want in a free country. You can have any view you want. But no, because she used the word she's arrested, and the guy who punched her in the face was not. That story tells you everything.
Well, I don't know that story.
Would you say the word on camera?
No.
Why?
Because
You don't want to get arrested, do you?
doesn't want to be arrested.
Because it's so harmful to people?
Actually, my whole issue with the whole trans debate, for example, is you don't need to say derogatory stuff about trans people to make the point that women's rights should be protected.
Well, I agree.
So what? I don't believe.
No, but it's a magic word.
I don't believe in needlessly sneering.
Well, I'm not smearing anybody. I just think.
But what would you use that word? Yeah,
I just did.
But okay, but why?
And I'm using it because you're not allowed to, because you're.
I'm allowed to.
Go ahead. This chick just got arrested for it and convicted. They're making me want to say that because it's so outrageous that you would arrest someone for a word.
I agree.
Well, then help me now. Let's have a moment of self-liberation.
I think you're beyond help.
Hold my hand. Hold my hand. We're gonna say together. You ready?
No, we're not.
Do you say gay and?
Huh?
Do you say gay and?
I wouldn't use the R word.
What's the R word? I don't know what the R word is. Careful if you write it in the comments, you might get arrested. Well, not yet. There's no new C63 yet, so I think you're safe. Then again, Facebook might look at it as a problem, as some kind of a derogatory comment. Then again, I don't think they would, because you're not directing it at any one person or group. You're just putting a word down. Or maybe you're not scared to lose your Facebook profile. Whatever. I'm just curious as to what the word is. So yeah, guys, I mean, this is coming down. This is coming down hard. By the way, if you want the audio version of the show, I upload that every single night to Substack and to Spotify. Just look for the Shadow Davis Show on either one of those two platforms. It's the audio only version of the show. You get that for free. All you got to do is go get it. And please give me a follow on either one of those two platforms. If you don't mind, that would be awesome. Thank you very much. What else have we got for you guys tonight? Quickly. U.S. economy booms as Canada falls behind. Well, that's not shocking. This is from Juno News. America posts one of its strongest growth quarters since 2023, while Canada's economy contracts amid manufacturing weakness and higher grocery prices. Now, the elbows up crowd, as you know, would blame this on Donald Trump and his war on Canada. This is not a war on Canada. This is simply Donald Trump doing the best he can for his own people and screw everybody else. He doesn't care. It's not like he's directing his ire right at Canadians. He doesn't care. He wants the jobs down there. He wants the people down there making the money. That's it. That's all it is. And Mark Carney hasn't quite figured that out yet. Or he's on a whole other agenda. As a matter of fact, he appointed a new ambassador to the U.S. today. Wait till you find out who it is. The U.S. and Canadian economies are moving in sharply different directions. New U.S. data shows the American economy grew at a blistering, this is a huge 4.3% in the third quarter, far exceeding expectations. Consumer spending surged and private sector job growth remained strong, even as government payrolls declined, a combination economists credit for driving the expansion. Canada, by contrast, is contracting. StatsCan reports the economy shrank 0.3% in October, the largest monthly decline in nearly 3 years, driven by weakness in manufacturing, rising costs. Grocery prices remain elevated, and Canada's per capita economic growth since 2016 now ranks among the worst in the G7. The widening gap comes as trade tensions with the U.S. remain unresolved. Senator John Kennedy urged Mark Carney to eliminate tariffs on American goods and challenged Washington to do the same, arguing that zero tariffs would immediately end the dispute. Ottawa shown no willingness to budge. The Carney government has ruled out changes to supply management. That's a mistake, including dairy protections. Imagine the price of dairy in this country if they got rid of that cartel. But they said, no, we're not getting rid of supply management. That's no. This signals it will not repeal Canada's online streaming regulations either, which is something Trump wants us to do. Both key U.S. demands ahead of 2026 trade negotiations. With the U.S. economy accelerating and Canada sliding towards stagnation, many fear Ottawa is heading into high-stakes trade talks from a position of growing weakness. You think so? Crime is still a problem. This is video from a mall in Surrey from yesterday. In case you're not following what happened here, and for those listening on audio, this is the food court of a mall in Surrey, and this dude in the orange hoodie just jumped the counter at that KFC there. Just jumped it. Now what?
I worked in my first day. It's my first day. That's my first day. Yeah, what you want? What you want? I got you. What you need? What you need? What you need? Poutine? Yes. I got you. I got you.
No, with my phone.
Yo.
Nobody is jumping in to stop these asshats from doing any of this. Nobody. They're getting some good video. But nobody is, and look at them, they're little guys. I mean, this guy here with the beard behind him could probably jump in and stop them, but no.
Stand in line. I got you.
One burger.
Burger.
Can I get saku? Saku. A bad bitch too.
I got you.
Can I get?
You want a bag or no bag?
No bag. No bag.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
Price.
Pay for it.
Price too. Yo, I need that. Yo, I need chicken.
No, we just got. Can you help me? Can you help me?
Go to hell.
What the hell? Go to hell. Yo, they got you, nigga. What you get? What you get? Fries?
Yes.
Nigga, I actually got protein. She's coming. She's coming.
It's a new Canada we live in, obviously, and if we don't like it, we're racists and extremists and bigots, of course. Immigration still a problem. Jobs, especially for young people, are still a problem. Here's a great report from Rebel News' Tamara Ugolini.
Miss Miracle for Tim Hortons employees in Grimsby, Ontario, after they were threatened with losing their jobs right before the holidays, only for the company to suddenly backpedal following massive public backlash. It seems like Tim Hortons corporate is feeling the heat.
Dad, not till 7:30. Go back to bed.
Tim Hortons coffee lovers can't wait to open our collector mug.
Tim Hortons is a brand that loves to wrap itself in the Canadian flag. It's a cozy, small-town vibe with the double-double that supposedly brings us all together. But the last few years, that image has been cracking wide open, and Canadians are starting to push back pretty hard. Let me read you this absolutely gut-wrenching post from one of the workers at the Grimsby, Ontario Tim Hortons. The double drive-through Tim Hortons store by the high school has been sold to the guy who bought out the other 3 locations in Grimsby. We, the staff, were told that we were all being let go. Imagine, right before Christmas, he fired everyone, with the exception of 5 part-time people that have been there for less than a year. Some of us have worked at this store for 10, 15, even 20 plus years. We've grown up with you. We know our regulars' orders. We were a family, or at least they thought they were. The employees were told they were getting fired so that they could bring in people to pay them less. / the government can give the owner incentives for hiring abroad. The post highlights how the job market is horrible and calls for a boycott of all 4 Tim Hortons locations to hit the owner where it hurts. his wallet. This exposes the deeper rot in Canada's temporary foreign worker program, where labor market impact assessments are being exploited to flood the market with cheap foreign labor, often backed by government incentives at the direct expense of Canadian workers. Tim Hortons corporate sees Canada's unprecedented immigration influx that dwarfs historical averages as an opportunity, you see. But the public exploded when this hit and social media lit up. Even the local Conservative MP, Dean Allison, called Tim Hortons out publicly on X, asking if they were firing all Canadian workers right before Christmas. And suddenly, Tim Hortons corporate rushes out this statement. Let me read it to you because it seems like a masterclass in damage control. We have a Tim Hortons franchisee in Grimsby, Ontario, who is planning to retire. Following discussions between the two franchisees, existing team members were told that their employment would end with the sale. We believe this is a bad outcome. The selling franchisee has apologized and provided letters today that reconfirm their continued employment. Assuming the sale goes through, the buying franchisee has committed that he will maintain the employment of all the existing team members. Oh, really? They believe that this was a bad outcome only after the backlash hit, after Christmas firings made headlines in the Toronto Sun, after Canadians said, enough is enough. It seems more like a forced backpedal because the heat was on. The original plan was clear: clean house and bring in cheaper temporary foreign workers. And let's be real here. We have seen this playbook before. Similar stories popping up across Canada with Tim Hortons franchisees, just like the ones I covered in Cobourg and Picton alike.
One of the managers, she explained to me, because they are cheaper to hire. I asked her, what do you mean? She said, because the government pay a little bit of their wages, so it's easier for the owners.
She asked if she wanted an Indian boyfriend. And she said, well, I'm only 17.
I heard I could make $20,000 if I wanted to marry the manager's brother here. Can I start that process?
Just because your boss doesn't like the fact that an independent journalist is in here video reporting, that's not up to him. She has the right to do that. When
I pressed Tim Hortons previously in those reports for their response to all of these allegations, they accused me of making very serious allegations, yes, of course, without supporting evidence. They warned that publishing inaccuracies could be considered libel. They requested full access to all of my investigative material to respond, which is an absurd demand in routine media inquiries. Instead, corporate offered only a generic statement praising franchisees and once again requested my evidence. This is the same evasive playbook we've seen before: deflect, delay, and dodge accountability, while loyal Canadian workers get sidelined for cheaper foreign replacements. But Canadians aren't buying it anymore. The backlash not only forced a reversal in Grimsby, but exposed how deep the rot is in big corporations like Tim Hortons gaming the system for profit. We know that Tim Hortons has been aggressively lobbying the government as recently as October of 2025 for more access to temporary foreign workers, even pushing to raise the cap higher, despite Ottawa tightening it back to 10%. Meanwhile, Canadian youth unemployment is skyrocketing, with teens hit hard as the very entry-level jobs that once gave our kids their first paycheck and work experience are disappearing to foreign replacements. These are the jobs that teach responsibility and build resumes. But corporate giants like Tim Hortons push for more foreign workers and international students while firing Canadians. They claim it's about labor shortages, but it seems more like it's about their bottom line. And sadly, Tim Hortons isn't some mom and pop shop anymore. It's owned by a massive international corporation. They market Canadian pride, but when it comes to the workers, loyalty seems to go out the window for greed. Canadians saved these jobs for now with their outrage, but this is bigger than Grimsby. It's a warning about how the temporary foreign worker program is being abused, displacing Canadians while youth struggle to get a foot in the door. So yes, the workers in Grimsby, they got a Christmas miracle, but only because Canadians caught the Tim Hortons Grinch mid-steal. The jobs were saved for now, not because corporate found its heart, but because the public caught them red-handed and said, "Not this time."
Okay, so did she mention the young people's unemployment rate in Canada? I'm hearing numbers like 20%. That's pretty freaking high for kids who want to work. We used to be able to go out and find jobs at department stores, but what department stores now, right? We used to be able to go find jobs at fast food restaurants, but we can't do that anymore because temporary foreign workers have got them all. I mean, walk into a Tim Hortons, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Walk into a 7-Eleven, same thing. Walk into any store anywhere. It's the same thing. So what are these kids doing? They're living in their parents' basement. Are they getting allowance still at the age of 18, 19? Are they going to school on mom and dad's dime? They're getting used to living life without ever having to earn anything. And pretty soon, Canada is going to try and push universal basic income. This is Bill S-206. This is a bill from the Senate, which has already reached second reading and is now in second committee and could pass as early as February or March, depending on the situation in the House of Commons and the Senate. And that's a framework for UBI. That's not, they're instituting it right away. That's just to institute the framework for UBI, which means more government jobs. Another government department. But if they're able to bring in UBI, that's it. This country is finished. It's over. Because now you're locked to the government for money and food and everything. And they're going to say digital ID or no UBI. Oh, yeah, I'm down for that. I just want to play video games and eat potato chips in my mom's basement, man. This is good for me. I can buy a couple new games next week. S-206 is the bill, a framework to implement universal basic income in Canada. What else? Oh, yes, I mentioned this earlier from the BBC. Mark Carney is named ex-Blackrock executive as the new U.S. ambassador. This guy was also one of the founders of the Century Initiative, the movement to bring Canada's population to 100 million by the turn of the century. There he is there. Healthy-looking man. His name is Mark Wiseman. He's been in Mark Carney's inner circle for many years now. Wiseman is an experienced investment manager, takes on the task as Canada works to reset its strained relations with the U.S. while preparing for a tense review of the current free trade deal, CUSMA, or the USMCA, as they call it in the United States. I prefer USMCA. His appointment follows current Ambassador Kirsten Hillman's announcement that she would be ending her tenure in Washington because she can't get anything done down there as far as trade goes. Carney said Wiseman brings immense experience, extensive contacts, and deep commitment to the post at a crucial time of transformation for Canada and the United States. As a core member of our negotiating team, he'll help advance the interests of Canadian workers, businesses, and institutions. He's done nothing so far, nothing. Our economy is in the toilet, and the Americans are booming. This is funny. So for that failure, here's a promotion, Mark Wiseman. Congratulations on a job poorly done. Well, building opportunities for both Canada and the United States, Carney said in a statement yesterday. The new ambassador is set to take on the role mid-February, Carney added. Okay, here's the Give, Send, Go. I put this in the comments on Facebook and YouTube and on X, I believe. Support Mark's journey. Keep the family afloat. As I mentioned, our friend Mark Friesen has got frontal lobe dementia. This great man can no longer express himself. There are days where he's better than other days, his wife Jan says. He's confused a lot of the time. He's frustrated a lot of the time, which makes him angry. So Jan says in the description here, AI tried changing my description into a tearjerker story that's got a that's going to tug on your heartstrings. I don't believe in trying to make things sound super emotional. Well, this is. I think sticking to facts and speaking from the heart is the most important. So here's my description for this Give, Send, Go. You guys can go there and I put it in the comments, like I said. And if you have the means, if you have the will, you want to support this guy, man. He's done so much for us. He's educated us so much. And he and I have had some fantastic debates. Politically, we did not see eye to eye. But what does that mean? We both understand what's going on in the world. And I want to thank Mark for being one of the major influences on that for me. He opened my eyes. I did my own research, and there it was right in front of my face. And that was probably 4 or 5 years ago. The show has been on just over 5 years. Here's a petition, a parliamentary petition initiated by George Williams from Glencoe, Ontario. And who's the sponsor of this petition? I think it's a member. Yeah, Leanne Rood from Middlesex, London, Conservative Caucus, Ontario. Petition to the House of Commons in Parliament assembled. Whereas in Canada's parliamentary system, MPs are elected to represent their constituents under a party banner, but unrestricted floor crossing can erode voter trust amid rising political corruption and scandals. Recent crossings, such as those by Conservative MPs to the Liberals, have occurred without the original party straying from its platform, raising concerns of opportunism over principle. Voters deserve immediate accountability when an MP switches to another party midterm, potentially altering Parliament's balance without endorsement, and allowing MPs to sit as independents preserves conscience without triggering elections, but joining another party should require voter confirmation. We, the undersigned citizens and residents of Canada, call upon the House of Commons to amend the Parliament of Canada Act to require that any member of Parliament who crosses the floor to join another registered political party must vacate their seat and trigger a by-election in their riding while permitting them to sit as an independent without such a requirement. So there you have it. You can go ahead and find that at rcommons.ca. NDP campaign review, their final review of their brutal election campaign this year. Oh, by the way, they still believe in all of their woke policies. I read the review earlier today. It's like 22 pages. They still believe, not only do they still believe in all their woke policies, but now they feel as though they're the party that owns these policies and they're going to double down going forward after their worst ever election result, 6 seats. Many New Democrats are allergic to fundraising, the report says. And that is all I have for you guys tonight on the social media side. So again, go ahead, because they're going to be censoring all of us very, very soon. Go ahead, join the website as an all-access member, shadowdavis.com. That's SHADOEDAVIS. Shadow Davis at, sorry, not at, that's the email, shadowdavis.com. Shadowdavis.com to become an all-access member. You can do it for like $13 a month, or you can buy the yearly pass as well. Save yourself a few shekels there. And don't forget to join me on Substack for the free audio-only version of the show, and on Spotify as well. For you Nighthawks, I'll see you in just a couple of minutes for the movie that I promised. Yeah, we're watching a Christmas movie tonight. And for all of you guys, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And I wish nothing but the best for you going forward. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great Christmas Eve. That was my favorite part always, Christmas Eve. That was the best. The anticipation was amazing. And a great Christmas Day. A great season altogether. I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.